What's going on YouTube? Knight's Edge here again. Got another little quick review for you of a pretty interesting knife. Before I get into it, appreciate everybody that is a member of the Patreon. If you're interested, hey, it helps the channel out. Tiers go from I think $2 a month all the way up to 10, 20, whatever you want to pay. The content's all the same. Whatever you can do if you join it, I really appreciate it. If not, that's fine too. Hit the like button if you like the video. If you want more content, listen to me ramble on more about knives, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate all my subscribers. Y'all keep me going. I appreciate it. And without further ado, today I have the SOG. First SOG I think I've had on the channel, SOG Knives Kiku XR. I've had this one for quite a while. This is a blacked out version, SOG Kiku XR. This is in CTS XHP, as you can see there. Pretty cool looking knife. Got a lot of goods, a lot of bads, pros and cons with it. We'll get into all that here in just a minute. Let me go ahead and get all the specs out of the way. So overall length on the SOG Knives Kiku, from the end of, let's see, let me make sure I'm going, this one's kind of tricky. Alright, from the end of from the tip of the blade all the way to the end of the handle down here, you're looking at right at 7 3/8 blade length overall. If you go to where it meets up there, with including the flipper with the handle, you're looking at 3 1/8, and cutting edge right at 3 inches on it. Pretty super broad blade with a kind of a unique shape, really. Let's do blade stock thickness on her. Make sure that's zeroed out there. A 157 thousandths on the thickness on there, and right at 31 thousandths. You go more up towards the tip, you're looking right around 37, 36 thousandths on that. Handle thickness on it, you're looking at right around 0.58, 580 thousandths or so. Not too thick, not too thin, like most knives on the handle, but a little bit on the thicker side, you know, a little bit more of a reverse, or a robust knife, you know, kind of a little chunky little knife for sure. I'm gonna pause it 1 second just so I can make sure. I think I got some stuff on my screen here. Alright. But yeah, pretty decent size, kind of on the thicker side, not as super, you know, thick knife, not like the Beowulf or, you know, some craziness like that, but it is a substantially thick knife. As a matter of fact, give you an idea of the broadness of the blade here, you're looking at an inch and 3/8 on the broadest part, you know, so a fairly broad blade for sure. All right, do some size comparisons that'll kind of help show you a little more what I'm talking about there. That's the paramilitary 2, and here's the pair 3. That's a lightweight pair 3. I know I forget to mention that all the time. So you can tell there it's you know, definitely a thick blade, and only 3 inches of cutting edge, but super thick blade, or a super broad blade. I keep saying thick, it's actually a broad blade. Ontario Knives Rat 1, Ontario Knives Rat 2. So in overall length, it's right there with the Rat 2, you know. Definitely not as long as the Rat 1. Rat 1's definitely got a substantial amount more of cutting edge, but definitely has more presence than it, for sure. Here's a comparable one that is a little longer. That's the Cold Steel Knives 8010. That's the Demco Knives 80-20.5. So actually closer to the 20.5, you know, with cutting edge and actually length, overall length, but definitely feels a lot chunkier, kind of like the 8010. So that's it for the size comparisons. And get the scale out here, zero it out, there we go. Let's see what she weighs. 5.8, yeah. 5.8. So pretty pretty decently chunky knife, you know. That's the 8010 is 7.1, so the 8010 is still heavier, you know, by over an ounce. But even the this is the Paramilitary 2 with titanium scales, you know, and that's still lighter than this one with that micarta. It has blacked out micarta scales. So keep that in mind. Kind of a chunkier knife. If you're wearing blue jeans, something like that, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. But it's definitely well over the ounce and inch ratio, almost double. Kind of disappears in the pocket, the way that pocket clip is. I do like that. You know, that's one good thing about it. You know, a little bit of billboard there on the pocket clip. That doesn't really bother me too much. It's more the fact that the pocket clip is really functional, you know, really smooth in and out, and it grips it really good. The way that this is, that's hidden behind there, so that can be adjusted to go on the other side. From what I've seen, I've taken this thing apart a couple of different times. We'll get into the reasons why here in just a second. But let's do a hardware check. That'll be the last thing we got to do as far as specs go. T8 on that. That's a captive pivot, which is a good thing. I am not, as many of you have seen in live streams and so on, an expert knife mechanic, old knife mechanic, right? Definitely can have my issues disassembling and reassembling. This one was actually not too much of an issue. Even with the crossbar style lock, you know, it still wasn't as much of an issue. You got a back spacer. That's another good positive about the knife for sure. 1, 2, 3 screws on this side. 1, 2, 3 screws on this side. That's 8. 1, 2 with the clip there. All right, the way the clip's mounted, going in like that. And the pivot, you know, decent amount of hardware there. Actually, not as much hardware as the Rad, I believe. So keep that in mind. But T6 is on that, I think. Let me double check that. T6, yeah, I think changed it out. Yeah, T6. I don't know what I was thinking. All right, yeah, T6 all the way around on everything else. T8 on that captive pivot, which is a good thing. T6 is kind of a bummer. You know, not an especially easy knife to take apart, but not as hard as I thought it was going to be. So that is your hardware check. The action on it is pretty good. One reason why I took it apart is because it felt kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. See how it fails right there? If you listen close, and I don't know if you can hear it right the way I've got, you know, my camera and mic and all that set up, but if you listen close, can you hear that? Kind of rubbing. Put it up close to the mic. Oop. Yeah, that's something that I've been trying to get out since I've had it. And I've taken this thing apart a couple of times. I've used the heck out of it. I've sharpened it twice. You know, it has been well used. It's not something that's new to it. It is something that will be with the knife as long as you have it. So bear that in mind. You know, it is kind of it's almost kind of like a soft sandpaper feel, like a grittiness whenever you open and close it. There is a washer in there. It's running on bearings, but there is I believe a nylon or a Teflon washer in there too. Which if you leave out, it'll mess you up. So don't do that. But yeah, kind of gritty, kind of gritty. Now I'm not giving it any wrist, you know, when I open it. I just have to, you know, go heavy on the flick, right? So if you do that, it should open every time. Reverse flipping with that hole, you can kind of do it once you get used to it. You know, once you break it in and get used to it, you can eventually do that. It doesn't come as natural, you know, as a Paramilitary 2 or anything. But definitely is an option. I like the jimping they put on top. That's a good thing. It doesn't really give you, you know, you got jimping up here, jimping here, you know, kind of right there on the back spacer. A lot of jimping. Really well-rounded rock contour, I think they call this, maybe black micarta. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it's really comfortable, whatever it is. You know, the way they got this is a super comfortable knife. It almost feels like gripping, you know, like a leather shifter or something like that. It's really nice. That poon, the little harpoon notch on the top there, that kind of helps when you're pushing, you know, stabilize your thumb. Locked in right there, 100% solid, full 4-finger grip with a little bit of extra room for my regular size hands. I wear a large size glove, you know, so if your hands are a little bit bigger than mine, should still not be as much of an issue, and if they're smaller, it should be even more comfortable. I wish, you know, I wish they could have eliminated the flipper, as always on most knives. I do, you know, but I wish they could have eliminated that so you could have the option of going up here. You know, it's almost like I really want to get up here, you know, but I can't. I'd love to have that flat, or even like an extended notch right there or something, you know, but been really cool to not have that flipper there in the way, you know, but I'll give it a pass on that end, just because of the fact that it's so comfortable choke back. You know, it is very, very comfortable choke back. At CTS XHP cuts, you know, it lasts quite a while. Make sure you sharpen it to like a 600 grit finish and not mirror edge like I did the first time I did it, because it made it through a few cuts and then became skatey with a mirror edge, which is kind of frustrating. So on a live stream, I resharpened that to 600 grit, and it's been working pretty well. Made a few cuts with it since. Pretty cool little handles on the lock there. Nice jimping on that flipper tab. You know, I know I complain about the flipper tab, but nice jimping on that. Really unique blade shape, really broad. I like that harpoon there. I like the jimping. You know, I'm a fan of the way this looks. It looks pretty good. You know, aesthetic wise, it's weird looking. You know, I like the little skull symbol right there, Cryo CTS XHP. But I really like this one. As far as the aesthetics and the ergonomics go, it's pretty good. The only reason I wouldn't put this in my most recommended knives is the action, man. That action could really, like, if you want to fail this thing, it is super easy. You know, if you're not paying attention and you just flip it, it's really easy to do. Or if you don't give it enough wrist, you know. And it took me taking it apart, putting it back together a couple of times just to get it to the point where it's at, you know. And it still has that grindiness in there that I can't. If I could get rid of that, you know, and make it a little bit more flippable, you know, the action a little better, I would definitely put this in my most recommended knives. But as it stands, you know, I can't put it there because that really throws me off about it. Everything else I love about the knife, you know. Price tag on it, you know, they could have gone cheaper. I think it runs around $220, $230. Could have gone cheaper. These aren't made in the USA. These are made in Taiwan. SOG's an American company, though. They're not made in China. That's, you know, Taiwan is a little more expensive than China, and you can tell, you know, I mean, they did do a good job of finish on this, I think. Just because the action kind of sucks, and, you know, I have my differences about, you know, them using T6s and the flipper tab. I would think, you know, it's still a pretty good knife, and you can kind of tell that they did a good job on the fit and finish. Yeah, so overall, if the flipper doesn't bother you that much and you can figure out a way to break it in with that action, you know, and like I said, in the state that it's in right now, it's pretty good. You know, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. I do carry it a little more nowadays, but yeah, that kind of grindiness in there, that right in there, I don't know. If you ever get a hold of it, you'll probably know what I'm talking about, or it could just be mine. Could just be my one model, you know. Who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Thanks for watching. SOG Kiku, it'll be linked down below. Use my affiliate link if you want to help the channel out. So go join the Patreon if you want to help the channel out too. I'd really appreciate that. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Subscribe if you want more content. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.